Hello, everybody. How are you? Good to be here. And today is Thursday, 13th of November. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Lovely day here today for the UK. Just waiting for the onslaught of a storm coming through over the next 24 hours. A lot of rain. So I think tomorrow is going to be a bit of a washout, unfortunately. Lots of flooding, apparently, and amber rain warnings. So, good job I live on a boat, really, isn't it? So it won't affect me much at all. Okay, little bit of word of advice before we get on to topic, and that is as far as victory with Ash is concerned. I'm going to reiterate it once again, just so everybody knows exactly what it is. I've been telling everybody to make sure that you read the code of conduct, which you can all do, whether you have a link or not, whether you are already inside Victory with Ash or not. You can always view the code of conduct by going to victorywithash.com, scrolling all the way to the bottom of the page, and in that bottom left-hand corner you will see code of conduct. You can read it before you even enter Victory with Ash through the onboarding process. The word of warning is that until Victory with Ash is public, which it is not at the moment, it is by invite only for the members that are there, everything, and I mean everything, that is inside Victory with Ash is private, okay, which means not to be shared in the public domain. And that is anything and everything to do with Victory with Ash. Okay, I have seen today various posts, obviously people still sharing links, etc., in the public domain. Be this on your own heads. Okay, this is all still part of the pruning process. It is also still part of the process of whether you can take instruction from our CEO about the code of conduct and your behavior with it. Okay, as he once said, and he said it on many occasions, your position in Victory with Ash comes with a responsibility, and that responsibility is to adhere to that code of conduct and make sure you stick to the rules that are laid out in there. They're easy rules, guys, not very hard at all. Okay, so please, please, please make sure that you adhere to them. Otherwise, one day you might wake up and not have access to it. And that means that you are no longer welcome within the platform of Victory with Ash. Anyway, let's move on then. And what have I got for you today? What I've got for you today is about long-term scalability. Okay, the engineering of long-term scalability and why it is so important in business. Now, everything so far that has been done for Victory with Ash, that is the onboarding, the way it's been rolled out, and everything is all designed very strategically to be able to scale it out. Okay, if you remember, one of the biggest problems that we had in the old business was when that switch was flicked, really absolutely took everything by shock and storm. We really broke the mold massively, didn't we, as far as what was or expectations of what most people thought would happen. We broke those boundaries down and we pretty much broke the system. Part of this scalability of how we're being onboarded now is part of a strategic way so that we have long-term scalability within the business. Okay, everything's done very strategically. Remember, I used the analogy of all of us funneling through a turnstile into this massive warehouse, stadium, whatever you want to call it. This is all part of that strategy, A, to make sure they know who people are, but also B, to be able to then make more turnstiles, make more entry points, etc., so that we can then start opening things up to make the onboarding process a little bit smoother and also to allow even more people to join us. This will happen obviously when we go public. But for now, this is very strategic, and it is also for the long-term success of the business. It is also the ability to grow and handle increased demand over time without compromising performance or profitability. It involves building flexible systems and processes that can accommodate expansion. This is exactly what we are doing within Victory with Ash. And also a footnote, which I'm going to remind people of. I've had not a lot, but I have seen and heard, people have sent it to me as well, about saying stuff like, I thought this was meant to be the latest AI technology. I thought that this was all going to be ironed out before we got it. I thought Ash promised us that when we received it, everything would be okay. All of these kinds of terminologies. Well, let's focus back to what exactly our CEO said. And he said that this was literally put together over a couple of months with just 3 people. It was an afterthought. This has zero reflection whatsoever on the main business. The big team of tech guys have been continually and consistently working on the main business for an awful long time now. He just dragged a couple of guys away from that project and said, I want you to build this, please. And they literally knocked it up, Victory with Ash, in a very short time. And of course, it's going to have maybe a few little bumps along the way. But don't worry, everything gets sorted. Everything is working 100% functional now. So everything is on track, and it's certainly there for the long-term success, scalability for all of us. So just remember a little bit before you start messaging people and complaining, I suppose, about things that really only need patience at the end of the day. Everything will be absolutely fine. We are all going to be onboarded. There is room for everybody, and there really is no problem whatsoever. So let's ensure that this scalability that we are looking at now, okay, really does help to ensure cost increases don't match the revenue increases, so that we don't pay for anything, so it doesn't matter. But from a business point of view, this scalability means that they can switch things very easily, so it's not a massive cost to them. Remember, all of this is being done for free by our CEO. Everything to do with Victory with Ash is his gift to us, not costing us a penny. We are there, and we are going to learn an awful lot completely gratis, free, by the goodwill of our CEO. It really is a gift that he is giving to us. Why? Because it's going to give us skills that we never had before. It is going to teach us things that we would have had to pay an awful lot of money to be able to learn how to do. All of this is being done willingly, by the way, and with heart from our CEO. So let's look at a few key components then of how long-term scalability is going to affect the business. It helps to design flexible systems that can grow with a business. When you design something, okay, you design it with an idea, you design it with the amount of people involved, you design it so that it will function in a certain way under a certain load. And when I mean by load, I mean by the amount of traffic it's getting on the internet. Okay, if you have a flexible system, okay, this means that it can be adjusted very easily, okay, on the fly to be able to accommodate more people. And obviously that then adds to long-term scalability. It ensures that servers don't hold clients in a waiting area for too long, because you can upscale things. It makes it easier to be able to onboard people and all the rest of it. It also helps to eliminate breakdowns of systems because they don't get overloaded. It really helps the way that it beds in, I suppose. Like everything new, like car engines, all the rest of it, they have to bed in a little bit, don't they, before they become really effective and efficient. So really it is need that this scaling helps to give us a longevity as far as the program is concerned. So it really does make sense that we are controlling this strategic rollout so that we can then expand things in a controlled environment so that everything works with the volume and increase it as it goes on. Obviously, long-term scalability also helps to build teamwork in an environment, okay, that supports that growth. We know that Victory with Ash now is over 100,000. We've had that message out in social media from our CEO that we have been allowed to share. I mean, that is unprecedented in such a short amount of time, that we actually have that amount of people who have been onboarding. It also helps as well for the diversity and expertise and I suppose the curiosity of people so that they can enter Victory with Ash. It also allows us to foster an environment where employees or us can develop new skills. And this is exactly why we are within Victory with Ash, is to learn those new skills. So in the operational side of a business, when you are strategically rolling out something and then scaling things, it helps to implement clear systems and processes to ensure consistency as this business expands. It also helps to develop a strong mindset for resources and allocations of the investments the company needs to put in certain areas. And also, it helps you to understand what your market is, customer behavior, for instance. And with this strategic rollout, this is identified by that onboarding process so that you can adjust, you can change, and you can adapt to that growth for the long-term scalability. So what we're trying to say here is that a business needs to have a little bit of elasticity, needs to bend, needs to change, okay? And if you have rigid things in place, it doesn't allow for that to happen. But because the onboarding has been so strategic, because it has been really well designed as far as how it's been rolled out, this certainly has allowed for that scalability to happen, because they have been in complete control from day one, from those first priority positions to the next wave of people and the next wave of people and so on, so that that then scales out with a control within a controlled environment. And this certainly is going to allow for that flexibility for long-term scalability. So it's not something that the system has to handle immediately, but it does allow for maybe unprecedented spikes in demand, for contrasting resources in real time. All of these things allows the company to be able to have a look at it with their strategy of how they're going to scale in the future, because of the expanding demand of the platform that we are in. So if you start thinking about it in a logical manner, which you know I love to, the way that this has been designed, the way this has been rolled out, with that scalability, with the strategic rollout and the elasticity of it all, means that we can bend and adjust to anything that will happen in the future. I thought it was a really interesting topic of how long-term scalability and strategic rollouts really does help get a company into a position where they can expand in a controlled environment and also build at the same time. Otherwise, if you don't do it, it'll end up crashing. There's loads of examples out there, and I think the biggest one was a government website in the US, and my friends from over the pond will know what it's called. It opened, they had 2.5 million people try to enter it. It crashed immediately and it never recovered. It never came back again. That isn't good for any business. This is why it really is important that you start off in a controlled environment, strategically scaling out so that it expands, so that you can put things in place to allow for that expansion so that you can take more volume. Anyway, guys, I thought it'd be a good topic because it really does help you understand the why behind the strategy of the onboarding. If Ash had just said, here is where you get your link, log in and you will have your link, what do you think would have happened to the system, to Victory with Ash, to the program and everything within it? You would have had at least 100,000 people, if not more, all trying to access the same door. It would have bottlenecked, it would have blown up, it would have just crashed, and nobody would have been able to enter it. And if you did, you were very, very lucky, but there's a pile behind you who wouldn't have been able to get in. This is why it's been so important to strategically roll out the onboarding in the manner that it has, so that everything gets tested, everything is working correctly, so that when we do go public, which we will, and that will be the big influx of people into Victory with Ash, then it can take that volume of people because everything has been tried and tested along the way because of the strategy of what has happened, so that it can be scaled to allow for that volume. I hope it's been of interest to you. I hope it has helped you to maybe understand a little bit of why we have had this onboarding in the way that we have, because it makes sense, because it is allowed now 100,000 and over people to be inside Victory with Ash. Whereas if it had gone, click, you can log in and get your link, there would have been 100,000 people all trying to access all at the same time, and the system would have gone, I can't handle this volume, guys, sorry, and closed down, and it crashes and nobody gets in, and you have to start all over again. This is the brilliance of our CEO. This is where we are so lucky to have a guy like Ash Mufareh at the helm, because he understands all of this strategy. He understands how to scale out a business because he's been there, he's done it before, and he wants to make this a success for all of us. Anyway, that's it for me. Be back around tomorrow, Friday, same time, same place. Again, this weekend, I'm working on the markets. In fact, I'm working tomorrow as well, but I will make time to do my live. and I'll bring something else to the table for you. Apart from that, have a great night wherever you are, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. That's it from me. Bye for now.